She's checking her phone for the 5th time in 10 minutes, waiting for your text. She's asking her friends what they think you meant by that comment you made 3 days ago. She's refreshing your social media to see if you've posted anything new. She's creating reasons to contact you, finding excuses to be where you might be, orchestrating coincidental encounters that aren't coincidental at all. And you're living your life, pursuing your goals, focused on your mission, barely aware of the psychological storm you've created in her mind. She's become the pursuer while you've become the pursued. She's chasing while you're choosing. She's hoping while you're deciding. This reversal didn't happen by accident. It didn't occur because you're the most handsome man she's ever met, or the richest, or the most charming. It happened because you understood something that 99% of men never learn. That attraction isn't about giving women what they want. It's about becoming what they can't stop thinking about. Today, I'm going to reveal the one psychological principle that flips the entire script of pursuit, that transforms you from the hunter into the hunted, that makes women chase you with the same intensity that most men chase them. But I must warn you, this knowledge is dangerous. Use it wisely, because once you understand how to occupy a woman's mind, the line between healthy attraction and unhealthy obsession becomes razor thin. Every woman's mind is like a city with limited real estate. Most of that space is occupied by her work, her family, her problems, her dreams, her fears, her daily survival. But there's premium real estate in her mental landscape, the space reserved for thoughts that won't leave, people who won't exit her consciousness, experiences that replay on an endless loop. Most men never even get noticed by her mental city planning committee. They exist in the suburbs of her consciousness, easily forgotten, rarely visited, quickly demolished when something more interesting comes along. They're like billboards on a highway, seen for a moment, then forgotten forever. But some men manage to construct permanent architecture in her mind. They build monuments to themselves that she can't tear down, establish residency in her thoughts that they never have to pay rent for, create psychological landmarks that she navigates her entire emotional world around. The difference between men who get forgotten and men who get obsessed over isn't talent, looks, or wealth. It's understanding how to become architecturally significant in the landscape of her consciousness. It's knowing how to build structures in her mind that she can't demolish, even when she wants to. The human mind has a peculiar obsession with completion. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect, the brain's tendency to remember incomplete tasks more vividly than completed ones. The song that gets stuck in your head is never the one you heard all the way through. It's the one that got interrupted. The movie that haunts you isn't the one with a satisfying ending. It's the one that left questions unanswered. Most men approach women like they're trying to write complete novels, with clear beginnings, predictable middles, and obvious endings. They reveal everything, explain everything, resolve everything. They leave no mystery, create no gaps, provide no spaces for her imagination to fill. They give her the entire story up front, and once she's read it, she has no reason to return to it. The man who understands psychological pursuit operates like a master composer, who deliberately leaves his symphony unfinished. He creates melodies in her mind that demand resolution but never receive it. He starts conversations that create curiosity but never satisfy it completely. He reveals parts of himself that make her hungry to know more but never feeds that hunger fully. She becomes mentally trapped in the space between what she knows about you and what she wants to know. Her mind, desperate for completion, begins filling those gaps with fantasies, assumptions, hopes, and dreams. She starts writing the missing parts of your story in her imagination, and since she's the author of these fantasies, they're exactly what she wants to hear. Every woman operates on an internal scarcity algorithm that determines the value she assigns to different experiences, opportunities, and people. Like any market system, this algorithm is based on supply and demand. The more abundant something is in her life, the less value she assigns to it. The scarcer something becomes, the more her internal algorithm marks it as precious. Most men flood her market with their attention, availability, validation, and interest. They create artificial abundance of themselves in her life, which crashes their value in her internal economy. They're always available when she calls, always ready to see her when she's free, always eager to provide whatever she needs. They operate like a business having a permanent everything must go sale, high supply, low demand, rock bottom prices. The man who creates pursuit operates from artificial scarcity. He controls his supply in her market, making his attention, time, and validation rare commodities that trade at premium prices. He doesn't flood her with messages. He sends them strategically. He doesn't make himself constantly available. He grants access selectively. He doesn't validate her endlessly. He rewards her occasionally. This scarcity doesn't mean being distant or uninterested. It means being selective and intentional. It means making your presence felt more powerfully in your absence than other men make themselves felt in their constant presence. It means becoming the stock that everyone wants to buy, precisely because so few shares are available. Every woman carries emotional voids, psychological gaps that need filling, internal hungers that crave satisfaction, spiritual emptiness that seeks completion. These voids are like invisible wounds that she may not even consciously recognize, but they influence every relationship decision she makes. The 4 primary voids that drive feminine psychology are the validation void, the excitement void, the escape void, and the conquest void. Most women are starving in at least one of these areas, and the man who can identify which void she carries and position himself as the exclusive supplier becomes psychologically indispensable. The validation void belongs to the woman who's never felt truly appreciated for who she is, rather than what she looks like or what she can provide. She's surrounded by men who want her body, her beauty, her status by association, but she's starving for someone who validates her mind, her character, her inner world. The man who can see and appreciate her complexity becomes emotionally irreplaceable. The excitement void belongs to the woman whose life has become predictably mundane. She's trapped in routines that bore her, surrounded by people who never surprise her, living a script that she could recite in her sleep. The man who injects unpredictability into her world becomes her psychological drug dealer, and she becomes addicted to the high only he can provide. The escape void belongs to the woman who feels suffocated by responsibilities, expectations, and the weight of always having to be on. She needs moments where she can drop her mask, forget her problems, and exist without the pressure of performance. The man who becomes her sanctuary from the world becomes impossible to forget. The conquest void belongs to the woman who's never had to work for male attention. She's been pursued, courted, and chased so consistently that male approval has lost all meaning. She craves the challenge of earning someone's interest, the thrill of uncertainty, the satisfaction of conquest. The man who makes her chase becomes the prize she most wants to win. The most powerful psychological technique for creating pursuit is strategic withdrawal. The calculated reduction of your presence, attention, and availability at precisely the moment when she's becoming comfortable with having unlimited access to all 3. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. This is about understanding that human psychology values what it fears losing more than what it's guaranteed to keep. When your presence becomes predictable, your attention becomes expected, your availability becomes assumed, you stop being a gift and start being a given. Strategic withdrawal means recognizing the moments when she's taking you for granted and responding by becoming scarce. When she stops appreciating your texts, you text less frequently. When she stops valuing your time, you become less available. When she stops being excited by your attention, you redirect that attention elsewhere. The key to strategic withdrawal is timing and subtlety. Withdraw too early, and she never develops attachment. Withdraw too obviously, and she recognizes the manipulation. Withdraw too completely, and she moves on. But withdraw at precisely the right moment with exactly the right intensity, and her psychology shifts from taking you for granted to fearing she might lose you. If you're starting to understand how these psychological principles work and want to master the art of creating healthy attraction, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell because understanding the psychology of pursuit requires ongoing education about these powerful dynamics. Women are naturally curious creatures, but most men satisfy their curiosity too quickly and too completely. They answer every question, explain every mystery, reveal every secret. They operate like Wikipedia, comprehensive, predictable, and ultimately forgettable once you've gotten the information you came for. The man who creates pursuit operates like a Netflix series with compelling cliffhangers. Just when she thinks she understands you, you reveal something that changes her entire perception. Just when she believes she has you figured out, you demonstrate complexity she didn't know existed. Just when she thinks the story is complete, You introduce new chapters that reframe everything she thought she knew. Curiosity generation isn't about being deceptive or mysterious for the sake of mystery. It's about understanding that human beings are naturally drawn to puzzles, challenges, and unsolved mysteries. It's about revealing yourself gradually rather than immediately, layering your personality like a complex novel rather than displaying it like a simple headline. The woman who can never quite figure you out remains mentally engaged with the project of understanding you. She becomes a detective investigating the case of who you really are, and since the case never gets fully solved, she never stops investigating. You become the mystery she can't put down, the puzzle she can't stop trying to solve. The most addictive substances and experiences in the world operate on intermittent reinforcement schedules, rewards that come unpredictably, inconsistently, but powerfully enough to keep people coming back for more. Gambling addictions, social media obsessions, and yes, romantic obsessions all follow this pattern. Most men provide constant reinforcement, predictable attention, consistent validation, reliable availability. They operate like salary jobs, safe, steady, but ultimately uninspiring. The woman knows exactly what she'll get from them and when she'll get it, which makes the reward system boring and eventually ignored. The man who creates pursuit operates on intermittent reinforcement schedules. His attention comes in unpredictable bursts. His validation arrives unexpectedly and powerfully. His availability follows no discernible pattern. He operates like commission-based sales. The rewards are uncertain, but when they come, they're worth the wait. This doesn't mean being inconsistent for the sake of inconsistency, or unreliable for the sake of manipulation. It means understanding that predictable pleasure is less powerful than unpredictable pleasure, that expected rewards lose their impact over time, that the anticipation of something good can be more intoxicating than the good thing itself. Women don't just want men, they want men that other women want. They don't just seek individuals, they seek individuals that others recognize as valuable. They don't just choose partners, they choose partners that validate their own selection abilities by being universally desired. Most men try to prove their worth through direct demonstration, showing her their achievements, their wealth, their talents, their virtues. They operate like job applicants trying to convince a single employer of their qualifications. This approach puts all the pressure on her to recognize your value independently, which is psychologically difficult and often unsuccessful. The man who creates pursuit demonstrates his value through social proof, evidence that others already recognize his worth. He's not trying to convince her he's valuable. He's letting her discover that others have already reached that conclusion. He's not selling himself directly. He's allowing her to witness other people buying what he's offering. Social proof doesn't mean bragging about other women or flaunting romantic options. It means living a life that naturally attracts attention, respect, and interest from multiple sources. It means being the kind of man that other men respect, that women notice, that social groups want to include. It means creating a reputation that speaks for itself rather than having to speak for yourself. Most men try to make women happy consistently, predictably, constantly. They operate like emotional flat roads, smooth, safe, and utterly forgettable. They provide steady contentment rather than memorable experiences, consistent comfort rather than compelling emotion. The man who creates pursuit understands that emotional intensity matters more than emotional consistency. He creates emotional roller coasters, experiences that take her through the full spectrum of feelings, that make her feel more alive in his presence than she feels in anyone else's company. This doesn't mean being dramatic, unstable, or emotionally abusive. It means understanding that humans are more attracted to emotional variety than emotional monotony, that memorable experiences require emotional peaks and valleys, that the heart remembers intensity more than it remembers consistency. You create emotional highs through surprise, adventure, achievement, and connection. You create emotional valleys through challenge, uncertainty, space, and gentle conflict. The combination creates psychological turbulence that she associates with feeling truly alive, and she becomes addicted to the aliveness only you can provide. Most men live entirely in the present moment of their interactions with women. They focus on today's conversation, tonight's date, this week's plans. They operate like day traders in the relationship market, focused on immediate returns rather than long-term value building. The man who creates pursuit invests in future possibilities rather than present certainties. He plants seeds of potential experiences, hints at adventures they might share, suggests possibilities they could explore together. He creates a future that she can only access through maintaining her connection with him. This future investment isn't about making promises you can't keep or creating false expectations. It's about understanding that humans are motivated more by potential than by reality, that anticipation is often more powerful than actualization, that the possibility of something amazing can be more compelling than the certainty of something merely good. You become the gateway to the life she wants to live, the experiences she wants to have, the version of herself she wants to become. She pursues you not just for who you are today, but for who she could become with you tomorrow. In her mind, you need to become associated with her most powerful positive emotions. Every time she feels excitement, you should be somehow connected to that feeling. Every time she experiences joy, your presence should be part of that experience. Every time she feels truly alive, you should be the common denominator. This anchoring happens through consistent association between your presence and her peak emotional states. You don't just spend time with her. You create experiences that generate the emotion she craves most. You don't just occupy her schedule. You occupy the moments when she feels most like herself. The anchoring effect means that even when you're not physically present, she associates certain emotions with thoughts of you. When she feels bored, she thinks of your excitement. When she feels ordinary, she remembers feeling special with you. When she feels disconnected, she craves the connection only you provide. This psychological anchoring makes you emotionally irreplaceable. Other men might be able to provide similar experiences, but they can't replicate the specific emotional associations you've built in her mind. You become the emotional equivalent of a branded experience, imitable in form but irreplaceable in feeling. The ultimate goal isn't just to make her interested, it's to make her the pursuer while you become the pursued. This reversal happens when she realizes that you're the scarce resource in the relationship dynamic, that you're the one with options, that you're the prize being competed for rather than the competitor trying to win a prize. This reversal requires a fundamental shift in how you approach the entire interaction. Instead of trying to win her over, you evaluate whether she's winning you over. Instead of working to deserve her attention, you require her to earn your attention. Instead of proving your worth to her, you assess her worth to you. The pursuit reversal doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen through dramatic gestures or obvious tactics. It happens through consistent demonstration that you are a man of value who has choices, standards, and requirements. It happens when she realizes that keeping you requires effort, that maintaining your interest demands her best behavior, that losing you would be a genuine loss. Before we conclude, I must address the responsibility that comes with this knowledge. The line between healthy attraction and unhealthy obsession is thinner than most people realize. The techniques that create pursuit can, if misused or over-applied, create psychological dependence that damages both parties. Healthy pursuit involves a woman who thinks about you frequently, but maintains her independence, who seeks your attention but doesn't lose herself in the process, who values you highly but doesn't sacrifice her own self-worth for your approval. Unhealthy obsession involves a woman who can't function without your validation, who loses her identity and her desire for you, who becomes psychologically dependent on your approval for her basic emotional stability. The responsibility for maintaining healthy boundaries lies with both parties, but as the person deploying these psychological techniques, you have an ethical obligation to use them in ways that enhance rather than damage the people you interact with. The goal should be creating mutual attraction and respect, not psychological dependence or emotional manipulation. Subscribe to this channel if you want to learn how to create healthy, powerful attraction while maintaining ethical boundaries. Hit that notification bell because mastering these psychological principles requires ongoing education about both their power and their proper application. Understanding these psychological principles is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you integrate them into your authentic personality, rather than using them as external techniques. The most powerful version of these methods occurs when they become natural expressions of your genuine confidence, selectivity, and self-worth, rather than calculated manipulations. The man who has to consciously remember to be scarce isn't truly scarce, he's just acting scarce. The man who has to force himself to be unpredictable isn't naturally intriguing, he's performing intrigue. The man who has to work to create social proof doesn't naturally possess high value, he's manufacturing the appearance of value. True mastery happens when these principles become authentic expressions of who you are rather than techniques you deploy. When you genuinely believe you're the prize, scarcity happens naturally. When you're truly focused on your own mission, unpredictability occurs organically. When you're authentically valuable, social proof develops automatically. The ultimate mind game isn't something you play on her, it's something you play on yourself. It's the game of becoming so focused on your own growth, so committed to your own mission, so fulfilled by your own life that women naturally want to be part of what you're building, rather than having to be convinced to give you access to what they've built. The man who creates Nonstop Pursuit isn't trying to get inside her head. He's living so powerfully in his own head that she wants to understand what makes him tick. He's not playing psychological games with her. He's playing the game of life at such a high level that she wants to be on his team. This shift in focus from trying to affect her psychology to developing your own psychology is the difference between manipulation and magnetism, between creating artificial attraction and becoming naturally attractive, between getting women to chase you through tricks and having women chase you through truth. The most powerful mind game is the one where you become so psychologically compelling, so emotionally unavailable to neediness, so mentally focused on excellence that pursuit becomes inevitable. Not because you're playing games with their minds, but because you're playing the game of life in a way that makes them want to play alongside you. When you understand that the real game is becoming the kind of man that women naturally pursue, rather than learning techniques to make women pursue you, everything changes. You stop trying to create artificial scarcity and start developing genuine value. You stop manufacturing mystery and start living authentically complex lives. You stop playing mind games and start developing the kind of mind that games can't touch. That's the ultimate mind game that makes women pursue you non-stop, becoming so focused on pursuing your own excellence that pursuit from others becomes a natural byproduct rather than a manufactured outcome. The chase ends when you stop running toward them and start running toward yourself. And paradoxically, that's exactly when they start running toward you.